Yo, Facebook, Nic Peterson here again, going live because I told you I would go live every day. I'm going to show you basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the engagement activity after going live every day using my method that I shared with you guys yesterday. And I'm going to share the results. We already have really good results with some of my partners that are doing this. Let me know that you can hear me. We've had some sound issues. There we go. Cool. Shared in the group. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Sound good. Thank you, Bofta. On fire. On top of it. So I did the 12 days of Nick's Miss, and I did ask if you email me context, right? If you email me any problem you have and enough context, I will film an entire video kind of breaking down exactly what I do. That includes my internal documents. I'm happy to share my internal documents. Obviously, I'll block out any sensitive material, but full transparency is really what we want to do. Is we want to test, and then practice this full transparency. And so I got a question. I got two questions that didn't have enough context for me to really dial in and make this video for somebody. But I'm gonna share them because it's two good questions that I think going into 2019 we can jam on and give you some perspective. And so what we got here, boom, that's wrong though. All right. There we go. That's better. So the first one was, what's the biggest game changer? Let me eliminate that. What was the biggest game changer in business this last year for me? And I'm going to tell you right now, it's shifting the way I think from marketing, sales, revenue, and shifting from marketing to operations and asset allocation. Okay. Shifting from marketing to operations asset allocation. That means instead of revenue, I started biasing cash flow, profit, future profit, and making those decisions. I'm going to show you, it's a little complex. We're going to really dive into it tomorrow. If you want to get in on tomorrow, do a live call that breaks down exactly how we do this, okay? Because we're going to bring on the person that I'm about to talk about. So the biggest change, the biggest game changer in my business from marketing to operational, okay? That was the biggest game changer for me. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm just going to give you an example of the more bottom line thinking. And it's going to be way oversimplified. Okay. So I'm aware this is way oversimplified, but let's look at this right here. Okay. We can see this. And a lot of us are focused right here. Let's just generate more revenue. Revenue solves everything. I know people that spend $100,000 to make 70, and they'll spend 150 to make 80 because their revenue is going up. And there's a problem, right? There's an obvious, let me know if you can hear me too. Make sure, last time we had some mic issues here. Email me. Waiting for confirmation that okay, sound works. So look at this. Okay, so basically what happens is we get people that want to generate, let's say they want to generate $100,000 in new business. Okay, that's the core focus, $100,000 in new business, which sounds awesome, right? And their profit margin is 30%. Now, most people are spending so much money on Facebook ads, it's not actually 30%. But you see here, this in your pocket, that's $30,000 in your pocket. So here's an interesting thing, right? Let me make another thing here. If you invested $40,000 that would have gone in your pocket. You took $40,000 out of your pocket, invested it into, let's say, a program. So instead of taking this profit, I'm going to invest it in a program, right? And that program generates $100,000. We tend to think of this as a win. But in reality, what we've done in the short term, right? Because there are longer term benefits potentially. What we've done in the short term is we've taken $40,000 out of our pocket and we put $30,000 back in, right? So we took $30,000 out of our pocket right here, and then we put 30 back in right here. And what we're wondering, if we're marketing and we're sales focused, right? We're wondering why we keep having good months and there's less and less money in our pocket. But do you see this? You see how we take potential profit, we invest it, and because our profit margins are what they are, right? And usually what happens is as we grow, we spend so much money on marketing and we bleed so much. Look, 120, that's more complication. That's more sales calls. That's your clients are getting less and less attention, right? Because you're marketing and selling. And look, you put the same amount of money in your pocket, right? So this is like the hamster wheel a lot of people are on. And then, 18, whatever. You see, look at the money in your pocket. We want to optimize for this, not this. Everybody's optimizing for this revenue number. And there's less and less money in their pocket. Their margins are going down. Their clients are getting less and less success. And they're starting to hate their business. But this is the top-down way that people are looking at it. So again, I'm just answering what was the biggest game changer in your business. It was partnering with Dan, who's a phenomenal operating person, and bringing on Adam, our CFO, and start making decisions like this. So if I'm going to take $40,000 out of my pocket and only put 30 back in and have more work and added complication, but I tell my brain that's a win because I spent 40 and made 100, I'm going to continue to optimize for that. I'm going to continue to do that. And then what happens is more and more work, the same or less money in your pocket, or potentially way more work, a little more in your pocket, and way more stress, right? So let me know if that makes sense. Drop a comment if you kind of understand why the top-down revenue focus it's a vanity metric and it's very, very dangerous. Drop a comment. Let me know. I'm waiting for some comments here. Let me know if this resonates because we don't have to keep going on this topic. It's not super sexy. It's not marketing and sales and funsies. But the question was, what was the biggest game changer in your business? And this is it. Again, we're going to talk about how we do all this tomorrow in a live training. If you want to join, we'll talk about how we make these decisions. So here's the alternative, right? Here's the alternative. Instead of putting all that effort toward generating $100,000 to net 30, potentially a loss depending on the investment, right? Instead of putting all that effort into generating $100,000, if you can find 30 grand, right, slipping through the cracks, which most people have more than 30 grand slipping through the cracks. We had one person that had like 45 grand a month, right? That's the equivalent for him of selling $250,000 extra a month. Or just plugging the leaky bucket, you put $30,000 in your pocket, but here's the beautiful thing. Your stress level goes down. The number of things you have to manage goes down. You learn what you actually need to increase client success because you don't need any other softwares, any other staff, any other complication that is not increasing client success. And so when you save $30,000, but your sales are the same, your profit margin goes up, right? And then it's the beautiful cycle of now that you have better profit margins, you can maintain them, right? As you grow. So the big shift for me, if you're going to say what was the biggest game changer in your business last year, it was getting rid of the top-down thinking and starting to think bottom up. What does this mean for profit? if you think profit first, what does it mean for profit? And then what are the second, third, and fourth order consequences, right? This is totally worth it on the front end if this lifetime value, all of a sudden that makes sense if we know the lifetime value. Most people don't know the lifetime value because they don't have the systems in place. So this is a systems thing. This is an operation thing. This is a decision-making parameter thing. And that's probably the most important shift I've made, because I don't think I can necessarily show you our balance sheet. But I could tell you that after we paid ourselves, our profit was 44%. Our profit margin of 44% on quite a bit of revenue. So it certainly did not, the marketing and sales just kept humming along. It was the focus on the bottom up that made us hyper profitable and gave us way more room to market at a higher level and serve at a higher level. So that's that. Okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit tomorrow. my.masterymode.com/live call. If you want to register for tomorrow's live call, I'll put it in here one more time. And then I have another question. That's where you go if you want to register for tomorrow. So hopefully this makes sense. I would implore you to really sit down and think about this kind of stuff, right? Really think from the bottom up, because if you have $30,000 a year slipping through the cracks, which most people do, just from a leaky bucket, not optimizing for the right things. If you have $30,000 slipping through the cracks, it's way, way, way more efficient, and it's going to be way better for your business and your clients in the long term to focus on cleaning that up versus generating $100,000, especially if it costs you money to generate $100,000. Because this is 100% free profit when you find it slipping through the cracks, right? Cool. What product/service has contributed the most financially? The answer is actually the same if we're talking about profit. If we're talking about me personally putting profit in my pocket so that I can invest in other things, systems and operations, hands down. Marketing and sales is absolutely the lifeblood of a business. Most people are bleeding that lifeblood all over. And so the product, the service that contributes the most is honestly, it's just what we call the system. And that's Dan, Katya, Vita, Brian, that are all world-class COOs, and they just go in and build this. And the most important thing for me is once I figure something out, I never have to do it again. Right. So that's what they bring is like, hey guys, I figured this out. Then they build a system around it, and it's an ever improving system. They build a decision tree, like they codify the way I think, and they can pretty much clone me for the granular stuff so that I can do the bigger picture stuff, which is really, really useful. So what product services contributed the most financially this year? It's been the system. I'm going to tell you, I'll give you some obscure stuff. I'll give you some 2019 insight. The product or service that's going to contribute the most now that I have the system down, it's called Profit Layer. Okay. And I don't know if you could find it. It's just a good friend of mine, one of the founders of HostGator, brilliant guy with big data. But because of his business acumen, what he's able to do is you'll see, let's see if it happens. If I go to fieldgoals.com, it's a Seahawks website. See if it happens. Nope. So 99% of the time, that is a banner of me, right? Let's try it again. So what Tim does at Profit Layer is he's a big data guy. I have, well, most people have like a Facebook pixel. I have like 23 pixels on every one of my websites. And what that does is that means once somebody hits my website, it's why I give a lot of stuff away for free. It's why I make a lot of offers. It's why I started doing videos and blog. It's because when somebody hits my website, they get pixeled, and then we can start getting behavioral data on them and follow them around and figure out when they're ready to buy. We can hit them for super cheap. It's like a millionth of the cost of Facebook to retarget using the big data. So the answer here in 2018, system, no doubt about it, no question in my mind. That has been the biggest financial boost for me personally. In 2019, it's going to be Profit Layer, which is a private agency, big data. So not only Facebook and YouTube ads, right, and Google ads and banner ads, there's also this behavioral, like, if they hit this page, then they hit this page and they go to check out and they abandon their cart, we can direct mail them a coupon that if they buy in the next 24 hours, they get a discount, right? So it's all of the different advertising platforms working together using big behavioral data. And the reason it didn't help me a ton in 2018 is because literally it was just in California here, Tim just built Profit Layer officially for other companies like a month ago, right? So from a revenue standpoint, Profit Layer, there's also it's called Profit Layer, not Revenue Layer, because Tim has a way of looking holistically at the business, what's best for the business, not just the top line revenue. So I think in 2018, the system, and in 2019, Profit Layer. And here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Here's a inside tip going into 2019. Video is king. If you don't like doing video, that's okay though. Let me get rid of this here. So video is king, but if you don't like doing video, that's fine. There's content. Content is king. Video is the top of the content ladder, in my opinion. Audio does well too. But here's my suggestion. No matter what you do, build an audience and do it. I would figure out which pixels make sense, because the Facebook pixel is not the only one. There's Google. There's like Google. What's it called? Tag Manager, where you can have a ton of different pixels in there. But build an audience. Building an audience is the number one thing you can do, in my opinion. It's fairly redundant in the sense that it builds in some redundancy. If Facebook explodes, your audience will still find you somewhere. And if you have an audience on Facebook, they will find you on whatever platform they use. If they like YouTube, they'll find you on YouTube. You'll notice I'm just downloading all of these videos. I'm just uploading them to YouTube. So they're archived. And then eventually I'll go back and I'll put links in and yada, yada, yada. So that's the question. The questions I have today is, or the questions I had was, what's the biggest game changer in your business this year? And it's taking that bottom up approach. It's really looking, not a top line revenue is the only measurable. And believe it or not, our revenue has grown tremendously when we stop making that the focus, because when profit and operations are the focus, you have time. I have so much time to just do revenue generating activities. I'm not getting sucked into the day-to-day stuff. And what product or service has contributed the most? The system, hands down. So when I talk to people about the system, this is what I say. Every single time I say, if you do an intensive with Dan or Vita or Katya or Brian, and they don't find more money in time on that very first call, you'll get your money back. And it's never happened. Nobody's ever asked for their money back. Because if you can market and sell, you probably have so much slipping through the cracks in the operations, which is perfectly normal. That's expected from visionaries, marketing, marketing mind salespeople. But the operations is really where the profit is. So to answer that, 2018, the system was the contributed the most financially, personally, especially. I put way more money in my pocket. The business did generate more than ever. And in 2019, we're going to maintain those profits that the system has built in, and the system's ever improving. So our profits will improve over time, which is awesome, right? That's the other thing that I don't do as a marketer, salesperson is build these self-improving back-end systems. And so as our margins improve and we layer on profit layer, right, which is the big data, the predictive data, and the super, super effective targeting and retargeting, our revenue will go up as our profits improve. But I really think that the big shift is what people do now is market, sell, figure it out later. And I've seen it over and over when we take on partners or we build new businesses. That is inefficient. You do have to validate your offer first. But if you know you can market and you know you can sell, the big shift for me is getting those operations in place first. Because if you can market and sell, that's not going to be your limiting factor. Your limiting factor is going to be you're going to market yourself, you're going to sell, people are going to say yes, and then you're going to get drowning in fulfillment. And people never quite take the time, right? Like, I'll build these operations or whatever as soon as I get unburied. But because they have to continue to market and sell to pay the bills, they never get unburied. So that's the biggest revelation for me in 2018, and what I expect to be 2019 is the year of profit layer, the year of big data, which allows omnipresence, ubiquity, and yada yada yada. So hopefully that's useful. Drop a comment if that's Vil Miranda. Good morning, sir. What's up, man? Drop a comment if that makes sense. Really think about the revenue versus profit margin. There's a balance, but you really have to know your numbers. What is not measured cannot be managed, right? And the most accurate, we can try to forecast all we want. The science of hindsight is the most accurate. So I would implore you to get the data, sit down, get the data, and use that past data to try to make decisions versus, we call it look in the rearview mirror, the science of hindsight versus looking out the windshield, trying to guess how things are going to shake out. So that's that. You guys are awesome. I'll give it to you one more time if you want to join the call tomorrow. That's the call tomorrow. We're going to talk about how to build these systems and work from the ground up versus the top down, sell stuff, figure it out later, because we've seen a lot of really great service providers burn out and their gift never reaches the masses because they were never taught how to do business. They were taught how to market and sell. Big difference. I hope that's useful. Give it a share, give it a like, give it a comment. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy. I'm going to do it live every day. And, which means if you have questions, comments, something that is particularly interesting to me, I may just jump on and answer it. And I'm gonna give you guys this audience data. What happens when I go live every day? I'm collecting all the data. I'm just gonna hand it over to anybody that is in Preeminence Unleashed, the Facebook group, so that you can decide if it's worth it to jump on the content train.